to the Paranormal Project. I'm Jenna,
I'm Ryan.
and today
We're talking about the Rendlesham incident, the Rendlesham Forest incident to be specific.
So if you haven't watched our last video, it was all about the Men in Black. We are starting a new series all about aliens, UFOs, all that kind of jazz. So if you didn't watch the last one, check it out because it is a good one. Basically, I do explain at the beginning of the video that I'm not the one to come to when talking about UFOs and aliens because it goes right over my head.
Which is why, for the most part, I'm hosting these episodes.
Yeah, so you're going to kind of teach me and you guys about this.
Well, yeah, because as far as you were concerned, UFOs and aliens are not paranormal.
No. Never said that. Those words haven't come out on that.
Well, no,
they're paranormal, but I don't. Well, no, I don't understand what you mean.
Well, we explained on the Men in Black video that aliens come under sci-fi, which is not something you watch. So, like, you've never really come across aliens in that sense. Whereas, like, ghosts just come under paranormal umbrella all the time. So you're very clued up about that.
Yeah, sci-fi films and stuff. I've just never had an interest in. But I never said that it wasn't paranormal.
Oh, my bad. Now, anyway, we are going to be talking about the Rendlesham Forest incident, which is the most famous British UFO incident in our history. You've heard of Roswell in New Mexico. This is Britain's Roswell. But first of all, I want to just clarify as well. We mentioned it on our Men in Black episode. UFOs are unidentified flying objects. You know that. We know that. Technically speaking, any aircraft you see in the air that you do not recognise is an unidentified flying object. So the term itself is quite ridiculous. So you'll hear lots of UFO followers talk about how the government won't acknowledge UFOs. And I think what their governments are trying to do is not recognise what you want to be UFOs, and rather they're trying to just clarify, no, it is an unidentified flying object because we have not been able to identify what it is. And because, as I said, it could be anything that you just don't recognise. So what they're trying to get away from is, well, you're trying to get us to say, oh, it's an alien craft. We're just saying it's something we don't recognise, and trying to differentiate between the two, because now they're just, you say UFO, you immediately think of alien.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Which is why they're trying to use unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and trying to have that as anything in the sky that you don't recognise. And UFO, they're trying to almost say, fine, you can have UFO. It's your word.
Yeah, it's pinned on that now.
Yeah, so now you'll hear like a government or an official source say UAPs rather than UFOs.
Now you know.
So let's get started. Rendlesham, where is it? Rendlesham is located in Suffolk in England. Rendlesham Forest sits between two RAF bases, RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters. Now, both are RAF UK bases. However, at this time in history, they are being run by the United States Air Force. They are pretty much, it's their base that we've basically given to them. You can have them, you can run them, right? So, a bit of context to the time period as to why they're there. It is currently the Cold War. It is 1980. Okay, the Cold War is still in effect. So Russia, America, Britain, we're all still part of it. And we're all worried about what's going on. The world is on edge. Nuclear missiles might come flying over and we've got to send ours back, and war could start in an instant. So that's why America's sitting on the edge of the UK, in East Anglia, sort of poised, ready, just waiting, looking at the skies, seeing what's going on, always on standby, basically. So that's what's happening. Now, it's December 27th, 1980, and a routine security patrol was at the east gate of RAF Woodbridge at around 3 a.m. when they spotted in the distance strange lights descending into Rendlesham Forest. So the patrol initially thought it was a downed aircraft, so they entered the forest to look for it. Now, as the patrol got closer, they began to feel as though the air was electrically charged. They were like walking into this air, being like, "This feels different." Don't get me wrong, it's cold. It's the 27th of December. It's so cold in the UK. at this particular point. I will point out for those that if you do know the story, you'll say, oh, it was the 26th of December. Yes, technically it counts as the 26th of December. However, it is like 3 a.m. on the next morning. So it's the 27th, right? It's 3 a.m. on the 27th morning. So yeah, they're walking into this forest, and they're like, the air is electrically charged. It feels
charged.
Yeah, there was like something in the air. It felt alive. It felt like something had happened. Okay. Now, as the patrol got closer, their radios began to malfunction. Okay, and the air, as I mentioned, was feeling electrically charged. Now, when they got to this supposed crash site, the patrol observed a strange triangular craft actually on the ground. So they're not just seeing lights; they claim to have actually seen a triangular craft on the ground, which we have a picture of, and it will come up now. This is a replica of what they claim to have seen and what they described. And in fact, there are drawings done by the main guy, a guy called Sergeant Jim Penniston, who we'll talk about in a second. He drew out what he claims to have seen. So, initial thoughts on this image, what you've seen. It's rather small, I granted. That is apparently, it was like 3 meters across each one, and it was triangular in shape.
Oh, it's quite big there.
Well, it's actually 3 meters wide, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 meters, like that.
Oh, that's tiny. 3 meters.
Yeah.
That's tiny.
Yeah.
Well,
who said that UFOs had to be massive?
No one. But then that just makes me think, because it's so small, that it's just a part of a plane.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So, what they noticed when they came to this craft is that it appeared to be metallic. Okay, so it was like
made out of metal.
Yes, yeah. So like some sort of sheet metal, or it was dark. It appeared to be metal, and it also had around it multicolored lights all around the edges of it. Lots and lots of multicolored lights. Very, very jazzy. Very, very pride. Now, the main guy who I just mentioned earlier, Sergeant Jim Penniston, so he's a non-commissioned officer in United States Air Force. He claims to have walked up to this craft and touched it. Okay. Now, as they say, it looked to be metallic, and he touched it. And when he touched it, he said it almost felt like glass, like black glass. It just felt smooth. Everything was just smooth to the touch. He also said that it felt warm, and that it was that there was electricity running through it. Now, we've all felt like something that's got electric going through it, and you can feel it. You can feel like a current or a buzz. Yeah, you can feel that electricity.
Like when you know the old school TVs, and you put your hand up it, you go.
Yeah. The static. Yeah, that's static. So he also noticed strange symbols and glyphs on the craft that obviously appeared to make no sense to him. And he did say when he was running his hand across like the aircraft or the spacecraft, whatever it is, he said that it felt like smooth black glass. But when he got to the glyphs, it felt like sandpaper, as if it's been etched into the craft. Now, again, we have pictures of not just the aircraft that he says to have seen. We've shown you the replica, but here's his actual drawings as well that he made afterwards, and also the glyphs that were on the side of the craft that he saw. Now, again, we've no idea about what they say, if they mean anything.
Yeah.
No clue. But these are what he saw and what he felt. Now, after touching the craft, it took off vertically, just immediately.
Went, give over.
Yeah, and bear in mind, it's not just Jim Penniston. There are 2 other servicemen here. A guy called John Burroughs, I think, and I forget the name of the other guy. But there are 3 men here that claim to have seen it.
He's stroking it and whatnot.
Yeah, he's touched it.
And then all of a sudden it goes.
Yeah, he touched it, walked up to it, and remember there's all the multicolored lights. He touched it, felt the glyphs, seen the glyphs, and then he's got 2 other servicemen behind him as well, a pair claiming to have seen this as well to corroborate his story. And then it went straight up into the air, and it shot off at a speed that no aircraft, not even today, could do. Now, we do have aircraft that can take off vertically, not just helicopters, like actual airplanes that can take off vertically, but none can shoot off at a rate that he claimed to have done. Now, bear in mind as well, Jim Penniston works for the United States Air Force. He's seen quite a lot of aircraft, and he knows quite intimately what they look like, how they work, and all that kind of stuff. You'll have seen a lot if you work on an airbase. He does not recognise any of them to be like that. None of them.
I think that's what throws me off a bit is the fact that he works for an aircraft.
Yeah, so he does have some sort of, professional background to sort of go with it. If
Yeah.
this was a civilian in the local
Yeah,
area,
I'd
the
be like,
local town of
no, he's on
Rendlesham,
drugs. It's a drone or something like that.
yeah.
Well, no, it won't be a drone back then.
Mm. Now, interestingly, the local police of Rendlesham were actually called to the scene after this had happened. The bear man, the aircraft is gone now, right? And they called the police over as well to just be like, did you see anything in the night sky? Like, this is what's happened, come to the area. Now, they claim that the only light that they saw was of the local lighthouse, Orford Ness Lighthouse, which is 7 miles away on the coast. And now we have a picture here. As you can see, this picture was supposedly taken at the site.
Oh, so it's not that far.
Now, yeah, so 7 miles away, clearly you can see Orford Ness Lighthouse. So there's no reason why the light from the lighthouse might not have been something they saw. And that's what the police say they saw. They've said the only light we saw in the night sky is Orford Ness, and we recognise that. We see that quite often with locals here. Now, interestingly, on the area, there were broken branches on the trees up above to suggest that something had come down and gone back up to have broken these, which, it's a forest. What thing could have broken all of those branches, maybe? Not only that, there appear to actually be indentations, 3 specifically, in the ground, in a triangular shape, as was the craft. So as if it's come down, broken all those branches, and landed, and those 3 stands have gone into the ground. Now, as well, it is interesting to note, it is December, and in the UK, very cold. The ground is hard. The ground is hard. So what kind of size thing or weight
More than size.
Push that into the ground to break it? Because it's hard ground. I don't know if if you've ever fallen on the ground, on the mud in the winter. It's hard. You can't get through that easily. Now, the police put that down to animals, local wild animals, breaking branches, climbing through trees, and rabbits and whatnot burrowing into the ground. But it does seem like, with the hard ground in the winter, it might be a bit difficult for them to do that. 3 of them specifically. Now, initial thoughts on that first night. So that was night 1. This actually comes over 2 nights. Oh. So we will actually make this a 2-parter.
Yeah.
So you'll have to join us for part 2.
So I have like a tiny little theory.
Okay.
It's probably shit and wrong. But, just fun to have a think about it. So I don't want to discredit what they said about the aircraft that was there. I feel like that was there. It was kind of small. But piss off, did it get up and fly off? No, I think they've taken it, the 3 lads.
Okay.
And then they've tried disassembling it, and then either they've found something that's amazing about it, and they've kept it, and then wanted to kind of share the story a bit, but then big it up to be a UFO and something.
Okay. Well,
do you see where I'm coming from? Though?
I see where you're coming from. Currently, you do have half the story, so you are at a disadvantage. You've got half the story still.
So I'm completely
but also remember that supposedly they saw the aircraft, and we've all seen what the replica image of the aircraft is. So there's that. But how they've maybe taken that away and called the police to the area? They've seen the indentation marks. So where have those come from? Where would they have put the supposed aircraft? And also, I will point out, these guys do go straight back to their base to notify their commanders of what's happening.
Okay.
But it's a good theory, and I like where you're going with it. Keep thinking of those at part 2 when we continue with the story of the Rendlesham Forest
I'm actually
incident.
really intrigued because, like I said, UFOs and this sort of malarkey isn't sort of my vibe, and all I want to do with any sort of paranormal film I watch, any ghost stories I hear, I want to debunk it. I want to mysticize what the word is. I want to break it down, and I want to be like, no, I've solved the case.
Yeah.
But with that so far, I'm like, it's just bizarre. How have we not seen anything else with something like that where it gets up and shoots off?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are lots of documented cases like that, not necessarily just in the UK, but across America and around the world. But we will get into those on other videos. We are going to continue with this. Join us for part 2 of the Rendlesham Forest incident. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Make sure you message us if you have anything that you'd like to talk to us about, or if you have any stories or suggestions, anything like that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Hit the bell so you're notified on when we upload,
Mm-hmm.
which has been a bit sporadic, I'm not going to lie, but we're going to get onto that.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.